Hey guys, Adam Savage here in the cave, and I have been, during this shelter in place, I have been, what do you call it, sowing my precision oats. I've been feeling my desire for precision within operating the machine tools in my shop. Now, machine tools are specifically this Bridgeport mill and this Shenhua tool room lathe. And the people who operate those machines are generally called machinists. But that is a term that refers to a certain level of expertise that I do not pretend to. So I will call myself a machine operator. However, within the frame of being a machine operator, I've been delving into precision, and it's been delightful, leading up to me making this new beautiful little base that's still a work in progress for my emery blade chop saw. Now, as I've been doing this, one of my key inspirations is the incredible YouTube channel ClickSpring. Chris over there at ClickSpring, I find his fit and finish and polish and attention to detail super moving, and I have been exploring it myself. But as I work on tiny little parts like this bronze nut here that holds the screw thread for my vise, I have surmised a need for a clamp for precision work on small parts. Now, I've done a tooltip about this before on jeweler's clamps and other things like this here for my jeweler clamping stuff. But to be honest, the way Chris uses the wooden clamp he built in his shop, I now see how much that thing can be useful to me. Now, the clamp he built is often referred to as a stitching pony by leatherworkers, and it's a third rigid hand for holding on to leatherwork while you're sewing it and doing work on it. Chris uses it for hand filing the gear teeth of his anti-cathera mechanism, and almost every other build he does, he uses that clamp. I'm going to build one for my shop, and I think I have a holding method for it. I might have just given it away there. That will make it a very fast and easy tool to utilize. Let's get started. One day build a stitching pony. All right, first part of any build is the drawing. So I'm just gonna make some measurements here and do a little bit of, pre-construction in my mind. You'll notice I'm wearing an apron these days. To be honest, there's a certain number of tools that I require on a daily basis now in the cave that I've decided an apron is the way to go. All right, so stitching pony. I want to clamp it in my vise. Ooh, yeah, there we go. My goal with this stitching pony is that it doesn't live on the bench all the time, but I can pull it out and utilize it. So I'm going to build it to fit within my woodworking vise here. Even when I get a new woodworking bench, which I hope to soon, it will still do that. So it'll boop, lock in there. So it would have a base. Let's see, kind of. So it would clamp on both sides and have a cap. And then the stitching, maybe there's a clevis there. That way I can tilt it if I need to. Maybe I'll do a 3 clevis. 3 fin clevis. I think what I want it to be is about 16 inches tall. That affords me this kind of very precise amount of, yeah, 16 inches. So I don't want the jaw to open up more than an inch. 1 inch opening. All right. While this is taking shape, I have cut two different approaches to my main fork. One is vertical and the other is sprung outwards. Both have the same amount of space up here at the top. The idea is that my jaws will be 2 layers, 1 inch thick of this Arctic birch ply, and then I will use a cam clamp to actually bring these together. Now I need to be able to adjust that cam clamp slightly. So I'm going to have to use some threaded nuts for that. And I think between these two, so I'm essentially utilizing the both the bendability of plywood and its resistance to bend, which gives it strength. And I'm actually, well, you'll see how I'm going to strengthen this. I'm actually going to have a spine that I cut a groove out of that this will fit into, staple and glue, and it'll be really, really solid. Yeah. Between these two, I've cut them both out. I like wooden tuning forks. Ooh. It actually vibrates. You can't hear it, but it goes, oh, something like that. I think it's this one. I think this is the one I'm going to end up utilizing. Let's try it. I want to give a quick note about the kind of stuff I'm doing. Right now I'm cutting a notch in my using my table saw. I'm cutting a dado. And this is repetitive work. And repetitive work is maybe the most dangerous work to do on a table saw because you can get into a zone and you can forget where your hands are. So it's really, 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 really vital that if you're doing repetitive work on the table saw, you don't let yourself go into that zone. Everyone I know who's been injured on a table saw has been injured because their attention wavered away from the danger of the blade to something else. And repetitive work is one of the best ways for your attention to go away. So, vigilance. Vigilance on the table saw, I say. Back to work. Say the jaws are 2 inches. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I figured it out. Okay, good. I know exactly how to make this adjustable. I can draw some of this out sometimes, but sometimes I have to build part of it just to get it in my head. Yeah, we're going to do that. Right, we're going to go slightly, aren't we? Or are we just going to go right to there? Okay, now I think I want to double stick tape these together and cut them all at once. I've spent a lot of years clamping 2 pieces of wood together to cut them together. And I've also spent a lot of years screwing 2 pieces of wood together. You always have to choose where to put your screw holes so that you don't end up with them showing up later on. But over the past couple of years, I've noticed on YouTube a lot of guys using double stick tape. Come on. double stick tape to hold two pieces together, and I have tried it, and it works. It works great. Plus, no residue. That's a bonus. And you don't have screws that you have to worry about hitting with your saw blades, etc., etc. Yeah, all right, so. One, two. So. Go. Good. I've got my major parts cut out here, and I'm ready to start gluing and stapling some of my pieces together. Wait, let's separate these guys. Oh, if this works, I'm really excited about this construction. This should be really a very useful bit of shop kit. And actually one of the great solaces I've had during this lockdown is adding functionality to my shop. Oh, got to smooth the insides of those. I made this a tight fit on purpose. I want it to tight, really tight fit. Here we go. Ooh, that's it. You know what? Here's the thing. Always, always, always mark the line that you're going to staple. It is such a idiot saver. Honestly. Just takes an extra second. Then you save yourself. Because if you don't take that second and you screw it up, then there's a minute. And for every second you spend a minute recovering from, you're sitting there calling yourself a dummy. All right, here we go. These are the jaws. The main body of my stitching post is ready, is finished. So what I've got here is a pair of jaws that will close like this. They're nicely sprung, utilizing the strength of the plywood. I'm going to build a base here that sits and clamps into my vise. But now, what you can see is I've got these two cross rods, and they move. They have a nice tolerance, but they also move whether it's open or closed. And this should allow me to apply some clamping force. Now the question is, how? And the answer is, with these 3/8 inch bolts, I am going to right. Okay, I have some ideas here. I need to drill some holes. I need to mark some holes, drill some holes, and then try some stuff out. But basically, on one side, I want a little bit of adjustability so I can affect how much I'm clamping the jaw, because I don't always want to clamp it all the way shut. Sometimes I'm working with a wide piece and I want to clamp it like that. Oh, in that case, I want the ability to adjust the depth of that. So that's probably going to be like a hexagonal plywood nut that I can turn, maybe. And on the other side is going to be a handle here with a cam on it. And the cam is just a circle that's getting, that's getting wider by only about, I'd say maybe ½ an inch, right? Because that's about how much I'm going to, Look, I can't draw it, but I can make it, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so what I did was I drew a bunch of concentric circles at 1/4 inch increments. And I didn't use 1/4 inch increments, I used ½ inch increments. And what this is this is a measuring gauge. in which each side is a 1/2 inch greater from the center than its neighbor on the other side. So that's like 3/4 of an inch, that's like 1 1/4 inches, that's like 1 3/4 inches, and that's like 3 inches, something like that. And that should allow me to set a rough depth here, which, oh right, I want washers in between. That should get me close. It should get me in the room, as it were. Let's see if this actually does get me in the room. A little too much. Actually, I think I won't use washers. I'll just use the nylon nuts for the level of precision. I'm utilizing the tensile strength of high quality plywood here, knowing that I can put a tremendous amount of force here. So, right, I can do this for a shallow depth, and then I can do this for an all the way depth. And I should set it for this. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to clamp down to yeah, exactly 1/2 inch. It's in the center. And what I want is the ability. So if that's 2.5, and that's 2.5. I mean, I guess, right, if I have to recut these long pieces, I can. That's no big deal. So that's 2.5. And that's 2.5. And actually, we'll just give it a little bit of slop right there and say that that is our point, and we're going to measure that to 0.45. 0.45. Okay, that's where the center of that thing goes. And so then, if I want a 1/2 inch, what I want is for this, I want it to increase from here, right? If this is the handle, I want to increase from here. Oh, right. Okay, so that helps dictate the size of the handle, which is good. That's fine mechanical advantage. But it just means that I want it to be 1/2 inch bigger here. And I'm going to go a little bit more. Okay. Oh, I know what I can use. Yes! These guys. Right. Okay, so how does these work again? I just need a kind of a consistent curve here. Right? Yeah. Yes! That's it. The inside curve. Look at that. Oh, okay. Very pleased with how this is looking. Yeah, that looks like exactly what I want. Now it'll give me a 1/2 inch of closure, so I'm going to hold this down. And I'm going to give myself we'll drill a 3/8 hole there. Oh, right, and I need a handle. So the handle comes up there, and we'll make it 0.45 because I like the measurements being consistent. So we'll do 0.9 there, 0.9 there. Great. Awesome. And we'll radius that just a little bit. We are close to a proof of concept here. Very excited. Right, okay, so here is my broad depth setter. That goes there. And then these feed into here. So that's number one, setting one. And then this guy feeds into here. Dude! Okay, so clearly it's time for me to cut these here and here. And then I can totally, okay, let's just make sure that when I set the depth, oh, right, so I will be compressing this. That's the biggest one. Let's see. All right. And I will need a little more. I've got to, okay. I have to do a couple things. I have to square up those corners and, yeah, give me just a minute. All right. Did you enjoy that all being off camera? Awesome. Oh, I didn't need those. I did need these. All right, so that's the back. That's the setting. Oh, finally learning how to utilize real tolerance in my builds. And by that I mean things that fit and slip nicely, but things that slip nicely and yet meet the tolerances that I wanted. Oh, come on. Cool. All right, so let's in here like this. Yeah. All right, so oink. That's cool. Now let's get a better angle on this. That is operation. Now the question is, can I increase the depth until it closes? Okay, clearly I need to undo a little bit down there. Yeah, just a little bit there. Okay. There are a couple measurements here that don't work in terms of the depth setter. That's this one, but that can be figured out. The real question is, can I get a really nice closure? And the answer is, yeah, damn, brother. So let's say I grab that. Oh, dude, that is something I am mighty pleased about. So I can grab something wide, I can grab something fine, with real verve out there at the end. Let's just see if I've got, it's best in the middle. That's absolutely best in the middle. I find myself wondering if I shouldn't bold that just a little bit. I'm pulling on, I mean, the whole point of this construction was so that I'm pulling on the widest array of it, and I'm pulling, this depth setter is pulling all the pressures on the spine here, which definitely doesn't want to bend this way. So it's resisting it and it's spreading the load. So let's say I had to work on something as small as this. Let's see how strong that holds it. Pretty good, pretty good. I mean, for filing, for acting upon it, that's pretty great. I kind of almost want an angle on this. I am going to cover these in leather, like the one that Chris built. And that's even tighter. All right, next step, leather coverage and a mount for the vines. All right, I have completed, I think, the form factor. I've got central spine here, which is glued and screwed to these two back pieces, which are glued, screwed, stapled to the jaws, which have been made so that they're flat, they meet flat. It springs open right now. I don't think I'm going to paint it. And I've also made the base with a little bit of a sword guard so that it sits in your vise like that. Clamp it in. And yeah, I think it might be time. I think it might be time to try it out. Wow. Yeah. All right, so put in the cross pieces. This is really exciting. I'm super stoked about this. Just want everything to be really nice and neat. Right, so that's the pressure side. Okay, so, oh, right, I still have a piece to make for this thing. I want some substance on this handle. So, just gonna add some width to it, so I have something I can actually grab onto. And then I'm going to round the corners of it. That's the top. That one goes there. And that one goes there. Rounding. I like using nylock nuts. These are nuts with a little bit of nylon in there. The nylon keeps the nuts from vibrating out. It allows you to set a really nice tolerance on the bolt and nut arrangement that's not going to change, right? Like once you develop a relationship between the two and you tighten it in, it stays there, it doesn't vibrate out. The nylon has a lot of stiction to it. It's actually why I don't like machining nylon. However, in this case, it's terrific. This is a 2-inch bolt, and this is 2.5. I am really psyched with how this thing looks. I've been thinking about it for weeks and kind of like mulling over a kind of a rough design in my head. And to finally be implementing it, the thing that I realized last night was that I could pull directly on the spine of the jaws. It was about how to localize and distribute the force correctly. I'm going to bring this in a little tighter. Even a little tighter. For me, the design was always about how to distribute the load correctly. Yeah. Oh. Whoa, yeah. I think I can even go all the way to there. Oh, that is nice and tight. Dude, that's fantastic. now, while I'm waiting for that to set a little bit, oh, I am really pleased with the fit, finish, and polish of this guy. I'm going to get ready to add some leather to these jaws, and I'm going to try the same methodology that Chris does, which is to use melted shellac as a replacement for pitch, which very likely would have been used a couple thousand years ago as a leather glue. All right, I am going to try and coat this face, and then I'm going to try and heat it up with the torch and see if I can't get it to become a really amazing glue. So here we go. Ah, stuff moved. Dude. Hey, that didn't stick at all. Let's see what happens when we do a little bit of this action. We coat it on both sides like rubber cement works. Okay. I am provisionally excited. All right, let's get this going. And I need to move this a little farther away from me. This is fascinating. Using this as a glue is like opening up whole new portions of my materials science brain. If I can get this to really embed, and I feel like I got something really cool going. Chris, I really appreciate. There we go. Let's get that going, and then push that down. You know what? I think this leather is too thick. I know it's too thick. Okay. I love the 6-ounce Latigo, but sorry, the 6-ounce veg tan. I'm going to go with the other stuff. I've got my thinner stuff, and I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try, certainly melts instantaneously. That's the best part about this. Let's see if I can get it to grab. Well, that's certainly grabbed. Ooh. Now that's much better. What I got there was much better. I'm going to get this thing coated and then do the same thing I did before. Yeah. Wonder how I'll be able to, curious how all this is going to go. Dude, I'm pretty pleased with that as a, I'm pretty pleased with that. I mean, clean up the rosin. This is awesome. I am really, really pleased. This is, we release it. Yeah, we can change its position in here. Oh. Dude, this is fabulous. I've been kind of fantasizing about having a tool this useful for a while now. I am super, super, super psyched. This is great. This tool is going to see a lot of action. That's for real. Thank you guys for joining me for this one-day build. I'm going to clean up. I will see you guys next time.